Victoria Mitchell's fingers flew across the screen of her phone as she ranted about her hellish day, sending a rapid-fire series of texts without pausing to check the recipient. You won't believe the disaster today was. First, my alarm didn't go off because my phone died overnight. Then I spilled coffee all over my white blouse right before my presentation. Had to give it wearing my emergency cardigan buttoned up to my chin in 80-degree weather. My boss gave me that look again. She continued typing furiously, detailing how her carefully prepared slides malfunctioned, how her coworker Janet took credit for her market analysis, and how she'd gotten caught in a downpour without an umbrella after work. It felt good to vent to her best friend Rachel about the day from hell. Only it wasn't Rachel receiving these messages. Zachary Ericson glanced at his buzzing phone during a board meeting, expecting to see messages from his executive team. Instead, his screen filled with increasingly colorful descriptions of someone's terrible day. He raised an eyebrow, amused by the unknown person's vivid storytelling. When the messages paused briefly, he replied, "I think you have the wrong number, but for what it's worth, Janet sounds like a nightmare." Victoria froze when she saw the response. She quickly checked the number and groaned aloud in the middle of the crowded subway car. In her haste, she'd texted her old college roommate's number, which apparently belonged to someone else now. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. New phone, wrong Rachel. Please ignore my meltdown. So embarrassing." Zach smiled. The quarterly financial review droned on around him, but his attention remained on his phone. There was something refreshingly honest about this stranger's messages. After a day of carefully worded corporate speak and political positioning, the raw frustration felt authentic. "No need to apologize. Your texts were the most entertaining part of my afternoon. For the record, I'm on your side against Janet." Victoria bit her lip, surprised by the friendly response. She should end the conversation, but curiosity got the better of her. "Thanks for being cool about it." Most people would have just ignored a random crazy person texting them. Most people haven't been sitting through a 4-hour budget meeting. You've been a welcome distraction, Victoria smiled. "Happy to provide entertainment with my suffering. Hope your meeting ends soon. Thanks. Hope your day improves." Victoria put her phone away, thinking that would be the end of their brief exchange. She certainly didn't expect to hear from the wrong number again. But the following evening, as she settled in with takeout and a glass of wine, her phone buzzed. "Just checking, did Janet strike again today, or was it marginally better?" Victoria stared at the message from the unknown number, surprised but oddly pleased. After a moment's hesitation, she replied, "Actually, karma struck. Janet's computer crashed during her presentation to the executive team. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person." "Excellent. The universe has restored balance." Victoria laughed out loud. "Indeed, how was your day? Any more marathon meetings?" "Only 3 hours today. Progress. Though my coffee machine broke this morning, which nearly caused a company-wide crisis." Coffee machine breakdowns are legitimate emergencies. I'm surprised you didn't declare a state of disaster. "I considered it. My assistant found me pacing like a caged animal until maintenance arrived." Victoria found herself smiling as they continued exchanging messages. There was something strangely freeing about talking to someone who knew nothing about her, no expectations, no history, just conversation. "I should probably introduce myself properly," she wrote. "I'm Victoria. Sorry again about the text avalanche yesterday. No apologies needed. I'm Zach." "Nice to officially meet you, Victoria." Their texts became a daily occurrence. Victoria found herself looking forward to their exchanges, sharing snippets of her day and hearing about his. She learned he worked in business management but avoided asking too many specific questions. There was something appealing about keeping their conversations slightly anonymous. 2 weeks into their texting friendship, Victoria had another difficult day at work. Her marketing proposal had been rejected, and she was beginning to question her career choices. "Ever feel like you're pouring everything into your job but getting nowhere?" she texted Zach. His response came quickly. More often than I'd like to admit. What happened? Victoria hesitated before opening up. My campaign pitch got shot down. 6 weeks of work, and they went with someone else's concept that took them a weekend to throw together. That's rough. Was their idea better? Honestly, no, but they have connections I don't. Hard not to feel like talent means nothing compared to who you know. The politics can be brutal, Zach agreed. But don't underestimate yourself. Good work eventually gets noticed. By who? The career fairy? Sometimes by unexpected people. Want to vent about it over coffee instead of texts. Real coffee, not metaphorical coffee. Victoria stared at her phone, surprised by the invitation. Meeting in person would change everything about their unusual friendship. Was she ready for that? You're not an axe murderer, right? Because that would really cap off my month. No axes in my possession. I can provide character references if needed. Victoria laughed. One coffee, in a public place with plenty of witnesses. Agreed, tomorrow at 2. There's a place called Brood Awakening on 7th Street. I know it, see you then. Only after agreeing did Victoria realize she had no idea what Zach looked like. How would they recognize each other? She quickly texted again. Wait, how will I know it's you? I'll be the one with the newspaper and carnation like in old spy movies. Seriously. No, but I'll be wearing a blue suit, business meeting beforehand. You. Red sweater and perpetual look of marketing department exhaustion. Looking forward to it. Victoria spent an embarrassing amount of time the next morning deciding what to wear. She told herself it wasn't a date, just meeting the person she'd been texting with for weeks. But the butterflies in her stomach suggested otherwise. She arrived at the coffee shop 5 minutes early, scanning the tables for someone in a blue suit. The cafe was busy with afternoon customers, but no sign of her mystery texter. At exactly 2 o'clock, the door opened and Victoria's breath caught. The man who entered wore an impeccably tailored navy suit that screamed money. Tall with dark hair and striking features, he carried himself with unmistakable confidence. He looked like he should be on the cover of Fortune magazine, not meeting her for coffee. Their eyes met and he smiled, walking directly toward her table. Victoria. She nodded, suddenly feeling underdressed in her department store sweater. Zach, it's nice to finally meet you in person. He extended his hand and she shook it, noticing his firm grip and the expensive watch on his wrist. You too. Though you didn't mention you'd be wearing a suit worth more than my monthly rent, she joked, immediately regretting her directness. Zach laughed, seeming unfazed. Occupational hazard. What can I get you to drink? Latte, please. But I can get my own. I invited you, my treat. He moved to the counter before she could protest. Victoria watched him, noting how the baristas straightened up when he approached. He carried himself with natural authority, and she found herself wondering exactly what kind of business management he did. When he returned with their drinks, the conversation flowed easily, much like their text exchanges. Zach was attentive and funny, asking thoughtful questions about her work and listening intently to her answers. So you're in marketing? He asked. Yeah, at Pinnacle Advertising. I create campaigns for various clients when I'm not being undermined by colleagues. What kind of campaigns do you specialize in? Lately, I've been working on digital strategies for retail clients. Less glamorous than the big TV spots, but that's where the industry is headed. Victoria sipped her latte. What about you? What does business management actually mean? Zach hesitated briefly. I oversee operations for a company, making sure everything runs smoothly, dealing with problems as they arise. That's still vague, Victoria noted. Are you being mysterious on purpose? Force of habit, I suppose, he smiled. I'm the CEO of Ericson Enterprises. We're a holding company with investments across multiple industries. Victoria nearly choked on her coffee. You're a CEO of a major company. Is that a problem? No, just... Surprising, you seemed so normal in our texts. Zach laughed. What were you expecting? Horns and a tail, maybe a bit of corporate robot speak, synergy and paradigm shifts and all that. I save those for board meetings. His expression turned more serious. Does it change things? Knowing what I do, Victoria considered the question. I don't know, should it? I'd rather it didn't. I liked our conversations because you had no idea who I was, just two people connecting. Their coffee extended to dinner when neither wanted the conversation to end. Victoria discovered that despite his wealth and position, Zach was down to earth and genuinely interested in her perspectives. He confessed he'd been intrigued by her accidental texts because they were so refreshingly honest compared to the calculated interactions that filled his days. As they parted that evening, Zach asked if he could see her again. Victoria hesitated only briefly before saying yes. Their relationship developed slowly over the following weeks. Zach took her to dinner at exclusive restaurants where the staff treated him with deference, but also to hole-in-the-wall places he claimed had the best food in the city. Victoria gradually learned more about his world, the pressure of running a billion-dollar company, the isolation that came with his position, and his struggle to know who he could trust. "That's why your texts caught my attention," he admitted during a walk along the riverfront one evening. "You weren't trying to impress anyone, you were just being yourself." "My unfiltered, complaining self," Victoria laughed. "Exactly. Do you know how rare that is in my world? Everyone wants something, everyone's performing." 1 month into their relationship, Victoria finally invited Zach to her apartment for dinner. She spent the day cleaning her modest one-bedroom place, suddenly aware of how small it would seem to someone who probably owned multiple properties. When Zach arrived, he brought wine and flowers, looking around with genuine interest rather than judgment. "This is nice," he said, taking in her colorful decor and crowded bookshelves. "It feels like you." "It's not exactly a penthouse," Victoria said, still feeling slightly self-conscious. "I spend most of my time in sterile corporate environments. This has character." He picked up a framed photo. "Is this your family?" "My parents and younger brother. They live in Ohio." "They look nice." "They are, salt-of-the-earth types. My dad's a high school teacher, Mom works at the library." Victoria stirred the pasta sauce she was making. "What about your family?" Zach's expression shifted slightly. "My parents passed away 6 years ago. Car accident. I was an only child." "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "It's okay. They left me the company earlier than expected." "I wasn't ready, but you adapt." Victoria watched him as he continued examining her apartment, noting the sadness that briefly crossed his features. For all his success, there was a loneliness about him she hadn't fully appreciated before. The dinner was a success, and as they sat on her small balcony afterward, Victoria felt more comfortable with him than she had with anyone in years. "Tell me something you haven't told anyone else," Zach said, refilling their wine glasses. Victoria thought for a moment. "I'm thinking about quitting my job." "Really? You never mentioned that." "Because saying it out loud makes it real," she sighed. "I've been working on designs for my own business, a boutique marketing agency focused on small businesses that can't afford the big firms. Places with good products but no idea how to promote them." "That sounds perfect for you. What's holding you back?" "Money mainly, fear of failure, the usual." Zach nodded thoughtfully. "I could invest." Victoria's head snapped up. "No, absolutely not." "Why? It's a good business concept." "Because that would change everything between us. I don't want to be another person looking for something from you." Zach reached for her hand. "I know you're not, but if it's a solid business plan, why wouldn't I invest? I do this for a living, Victoria." If we break up, the investment would still stand on its merits." He squeezed her hand. "Just think about it, no pressure." Victoria didn't give him an answer that night, and Zach didn't push. But the conversation shifted something in their relationship, bringing into focus the vast differences in their worlds. Those differences became even more apparent when Victoria finally attended a formal work event with Zach 2 weeks later. Walking into the charity gala on his arm, she felt the stares and whispers. Zach introduced her to countless business associates, politicians, and socialites, all of whom assessed her with varying degrees of subtlety. "Zachary, darling," an elegantly dressed older woman approached them. I've been looking for you. The governor wants to discuss the new downtown development. Mrs. Harrington, allow me to introduce Victoria Mitchell. Victoria, this is Eleanor Harrington, one of our board members. The woman gave Victoria a practiced smile. How lovely. And what do you do, dear? I work in marketing, Victoria answered. How interesting. And how did you two meet? Before Victoria could answer, Zach smoothly intervened. Victoria's insights on consumer behavior have been invaluable. We're fortunate she agreed to join us tonight. The woman's eyebrows rose slightly. Indeed. Well, don't let me monopolize you. The governor is waiting. As she walked away, Victoria whispered, Did you just imply I'm some kind of consultant? No, I just didn't think she needed our life story. Zach looked concerned. Are you okay? You seem tense. I'm fine. Just feeling a bit out of place. You belong here as much as anyone, he assured her, but Victoria wasn't convinced. Throughout the evening, she noticed the curious glances, the whispered conversations that stopped when she approached. She overheard fragments. Zachary Ericson's new girlfriend, marketing something, wonder how long this one will last. By the time they left, Victoria felt drained. In the car, Zach took her hand. I'm sorry if that was overwhelming. Do they always analyze your dates like rare specimens? Unfortunately, yes. The business world runs on gossip, he hesitated. But you're not just a date, Victoria, you know that, right? She squeezed his hand. I know, it's just hard feeling like I'm under a microscope. Those people don't matter, what matters is us. Victoria wanted to believe him, but doubts had begun to creep in. Could their relationship really work with such different lives? The question lingered in her mind over the following days. Those doubts intensified when a gossip blog published photos of them leaving the gala, speculating about the mystery woman who had captured the elusive CEO's attention. The article mentioned her workplace, and suddenly, Victoria found herself the subject of office curiosity. So, you're dating Zachary Ericson? Janet cornered her by the coffee machine. The Zachary Ericson, why didn't you tell anyone? It's personal, Janet. Personal? Janet laughed. He's only one of the richest bachelors in the city. Does he know you work for a company his corporation could buy with pocket change? Victoria walked away, but Janet's words stung. The attention continued throughout the week, coworkers suddenly wanting to lunch with her boss mentioning potential opportunities that might leverage her connections. When she told Zach about it, he seemed unsurprised. It comes with the territory, unfortunately. People will always try to use relationships for advantage. Is this what your life is always like? People wanting something from you? Often, yes. His expression was resigned. You get used to it. I don't think I want to get used to it, Victoria said quietly. The issue came to a head when Victoria's boss directly asked her to approach Zach about a potential partnership with their agency. Absolutely not, Victoria stated firmly. Think about the opportunity, Victoria. This could be huge for all of us. I won't use my personal relationship for business. That's final, her boss's expression cooled. I thought you were a team player. Maybe I was wrong about your potential here. The thinly veiled threat was the last straw. That evening, Victoria quit her job, sending her resignation email before she could change her mind. When she called Zach to tell him, his response surprised her. I'm proud of you, he said. That took courage, or stupidity. I don't have another job lined up. Maybe it's time for that business idea of yours, Victoria sighed. Zach, I can't take your money. Why not? Because you're afraid of what people will say, that you're with me for my wealth. Partly, yes, she admitted. Victoria, I've been judged my entire adult life. For my age, when I took over the company, for my decisions, for who I date, you can't live trying to manage other people's perceptions. It's different for you. You have power, position, money. I'm just starting out. So start out, prove them wrong. But don't reject help out of pride or fear of judgment. They argued late into the night, both frustrated by the impasse. When they finally hung up, Victoria felt the relationship teetering on a precipice. She loved Zach, she had finally admitted that to herself, but she wasn't sure she could belong in his world without losing herself. For 3 days, they barely communicated, both needing space to think. Victoria used the time to polish her business plan, running numbers and researching potential clients. Without a steady income, she had limited time to make her dream work, but the challenge energized her. On the 4th day, her doorbell rang. She opened it to find Zach standing there, looking tired and determined. "We need to talk," he said simply. Victoria let him in, her heart racing. Was this the end? Zach paced her living room before turning to face her. "I've been thinking about us, about what's happening." "Me too. I understand your concerns about taking my investment, but I also think you're letting fear make your decisions." He ran a hand through his hair. "I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you, Victoria. From that first wrong number text, you've been different. Real." "Zach, let me finish. I don't want to lose you over money, so I've come up with a solution." He handed her a folder. "It's a loan, not an investment. Standard terms, market rate interest through a small business program my foundation runs. Everything documented and above board. No special treatment." Victoria opened the folder, reviewing the terms with surprise. "This is actually pretty strict. Intentionally so. You'll be treated like any other applicant. The foundation's board approved it yesterday without knowing your connection to me." "You really thought this through?" "Because you matter to me, because I believe in your idea, and because I don't want money to be the thing that comes between us." He took her hands. "I fell in love with you because you treated me like a person, not a bank account or a business opportunity. I want to do the same for you." Victoria felt tears forming. "You love me, more than I thought possible, enough to find a compromise that respects your independence." She looked at the loan documents again, then at the man standing before her, powerful and successful, yet vulnerable in this moment. "I love you too," she said softly, "and I'll accept the loan on one condition." "Name it." "When my business succeeds, not if, when I pay back every penny with interest." Zach smiled. "I'd expect nothing less." 6 months later, Victoria's marketing agency was showing promising results. She had secured several clients, hired 2 employees, and was starting to make a name for herself in the industry. The loan from Zach's foundation provided the startup capital she needed, but her success came from her own talent and determination. Their relationship had deepened, growing stronger through the challenges they faced. Victoria had learned to navigate Zach's world with more confidence, while he found in her the authentic connection he had always craved. One evening, as they walked along the same riverfront where they had first begun to truly know each other, Zach stopped suddenly. "Remember when you texted the wrong number that day?" he asked. "Complaining about spilled coffee and your terrible presentation," Victoria laughed. "How could I forget? Most embarrassing wrong number ever." "It was the luckiest day of my life." Zach took her hands. "Before you, I was just going through the motions. Success without meaning. You changed that." "You changed things for me too," Victoria said. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I always will." Zach reached into his pocket, then dropped to one knee. "Victoria Mitchell, will you marry me?" Victoria stared at the sparkling ring, tears filling her eyes. "Are you sure you want to be tied to someone who can't even text the right number?" "I've never been more sure of anything." His eyes shone with emotion. "That wrong number led me to exactly the right person." "Then yes," Victoria whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." As Zach slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms, Victoria thought about the strange path that had brought them together. A simple texting mistake had changed both their lives forever, proving that sometimes the wrong number could lead to exactly the right connection. 1 year later, they married in a ceremony that blended elegance with intimacy. Victoria's business continued to thrive, and she repaid the foundation loan ahead of schedule, much to Zach's amused pride. They agreed to keep their professional lives separate but supportive, each respecting the other's independence while celebrating their successes together. And every year on the anniversary of Victoria's accidental text, Zach would send her a message. "Thank you for texting the wrong person." Best mistake ever. To which Victoria would always reply, not a mistake, destiny with bad autocorrect. Some wrong numbers were simply meant to be.